Medisero ga mogela gape mo mantageng yo ke dimana go siame le weekend ya go ne siame.
I'm great. Yeah, I had a good weekend, but yes, I was traveling quite a bit. So
yeah.
No, I'm good.
Nice one. Let me give you this chance also to greet our listeners.
I hope you are ready for your Monday motivation. Sit down and relax and enjoy the ride. Dumela le kae?
Yeah, no, today the series when I'm happy. What do you have for us today?
Okay, so I made a promise last week that I had mentioned some of the attributes that I believe or things that I believe can create value in you as a person. And I said I'm going to talk a bit more this week about the growth limiters.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about growth limiters this session, and then that should cover most of what we are touching on. The law of growth.
Nice one.
Yes.
Take it away, sir.
Thank you. Kidumedi Savareti once more. We spoke last week, I think, about growth, and we were touching quite on a few things where growth is concerned. And I believe one of the most critical things just towards the end that we touched on was what makes you more valuable as a person. How do you create value? How do you make sure that you become a person of value? The reason why you need to create value around yourself is because value doesn't only just benefit you in your own personal circumstances and how you deal with the challenges of life and everything else that happens in your life. But value also allows other people to see your potential contribution. They can see what is it that you can bring as value add to the table.
Yes, sir.
And that generally will attract people that either want to have you as a resource or people that would want to actually partner with you if you are in the business space. Sometimes people might even they might have projects and other things that they are doing in their lives that they might believe that there is some form of value that you can add. And this becomes very critical. So your development, I remember this one time I got a call while I was still busy with these shows as well. Got a call from a psychologist.
Okay.
And this lady was asking me, where did I study? And I said, study what? And she said, psychology. I said, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a geologist. He says, so how come do you know so much about the mind and all these things? I said, look, I've got material that I actually study. There are things that, so over and above me being a geologist, a mining person, I go out of my way to stretch my mind and study and learn other things and understand them, because if you become that balanced in your life, you are able to do so much more with yourself and you are not only limited. And I was even saying to her, I was saying, even as a psychologist, you actually need to read the Bible. There is so much in the Bible that you can find that will help you become a better psychologist. She was like, no, it's not possible. I said, most of my content actually comes from the Bible. And people don't believe it. And it just shows how practical some of the material, if you take ownership of what you are reading, you can actually translate that and make it more like a life experience more than just text that's sitting on a piece of paper. So this becomes important. So I said last week, if you look at the type of ideas that you generate, the type of people you spend time with generating those ideas, what type of ideas do you generate? Because ideas create value. They create value in you. And I said also thinking patterns. You will realize that your thinking patterns are influenced by your associations. And it's also influenced by the type of material you read, what you feed your mind. And this becomes important because what it means is that I need to be careful what I consume. Because what I consume ultimately dictates how I think. And you can either limit your thinking or you can allow your thinking to flourish and move further. But you are limited to what you can do based on what your thinking patterns actually. But that feeds from what you have actually allowed to come into your mind. And normally what you allow to be your thinking pattern end up becoming the next point, which is your behavior. Your behavior is influenced by how you think. And your thinking is influenced by what you absorb. So you will realize, and your behavior ultimately affects what you call your lifestyle. So your lifestyle becomes a product of your behavior as a person to say, what are the type of things that excite you? Sometimes you spend a lot of time with people that are too playful. You end up becoming playful as well. If you spend too much time with people that are serious, you tend to take life a bit more serious. You tend to look at certain things more serious. So your behavior and the people that are around you, some people will say bad conduct corrupts good behavior, it's those type of things you look at and you realize that as a person, you need to really assess and evaluate the type of things that influence you. And your lifestyle actually influences your relationships. Because let me tell you something, people that like the same things tend to associate.
True.
You gravitate towards people that like the same things that you like. So if your lifestyle is, let's groove every weekend, you are most probably going to attract people that love the same thing. And every weekend you call each other on a Thursday to say, so what's happening this weekend? But if you love church, you will attract people that also love the same things. So most of the time, you should never be surprised about the type of people that are attracted to you. You must realize that people are attracted to similar people.
Yes.
It's very rare that people are attracted to people who are opposite.
Yes.
It's most of the time you attract. So even with relationships, you will find that you attract similar people.
Yes.
You attract the people that actually align to you as well. Now, you look at also experiences. Relationships create experiences. And those experiences, you will realize that most of the time, they ultimately impact how you perceive life.
Yes, sir.
And how you can dream and believe in yourself and how you can grow is affected by your experiences. And that's what I always say a lot of times, that people tend to look at experiences and say, if experiences are good, they can grow you. But if experiences are bad, they can destroy you. Yes, they can, but you must always realize that in as much as an experience can be negative, but it can also have learnings in it. Learnings that are so good towards your growth that you can actually find things to grow from, learning from those experiences. And even if those experiences are bad and they are painful, think about it this way. A person who's had a very traumatic experience in their life, more than half the time you'll find if that person learns to grow from that experience, that person can be useful to others. Others who might not even survive what this person has been through. But because you have survived it, you are coming back with a testimony to say, I've been through it and it's survivable. And you are telling them and you're saying to them, look, this is what I had to do for me to survive. This is what I had to do for me to get to where I got to. And those things are helpful because then they allow people to be able to get into a space or in their lives where they are able to understand that I don't have to die from what I'm going through, but I can live to tell the tale because I am not the first person to go through these things and I'm not the last person. Now, the last one is memories. I touched on memories last week and I said, sometimes you need to decide. You don't have to keep every single memory that you have in your life. Some memories don't deserve your time. Some memories deserve to be expelled and discharged. You need to get rid of them. Because some memories are actually not good for you. And those memories that are not good, and the good thing is that the only way to undo bad memories or to undo memories that you don't like is by creating new memories.
Wow.
You need to start creating new memories in your life to undo those bad memories. Those memories that are holding you back, that are making you feel guilty, that are making you feel like you cannot achieve much. Because maybe you've got memories of how many times you have failed doing something. You need to start creating other memories by building dreams and goals that are far greater than what you have experienced in the past. So that you can actually look and say, I have a future. There are things that I can do. And sometimes creating new memories also have to do with you going and looking for people that have made it in life, that have had bad experiences in their past. I use the athletes a lot in this show to show you that, you look at guys like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, they don't have a rosy background. But they found a way to break out of that and make names for themselves. No one would have known who Mike Tyson is. No one would have known who Mayweather is. None of these people actually had a good background. Even if you look at Lionel Messi also had his own challenges. In fact, with him, he even had a sickness. He had a syndrome where you cannot grow to, if you look at Lionel Messi is shorter than most athletes. But he overcame that. Now you realize that even if something is a shortcoming, you can overcome it. So let's say something that I believe is important moving forward into today's session is that your thoughts become your destiny. And this is what governs, it's one of the pillars of the law of growth, is that your thoughts become your destiny. I always say this, even on my page, you will see the slogan is your life is shaped by your own thoughts. Your life is shaped by your own thoughts because you become what you think. If you put garbage in your mind, you will think garbage and you will experience garbage. If you put good things in your mind, you will think good things and you will experience good things. A very simple process. Now, these are the reason why I mention thoughts is because thoughts are very powerful. Now, let me show you how thoughts can get to destiny. Thoughts become what you call words. They become words. So when you are thinking, ultimately what you are thinking, you will speak about it. And you will realize that many a times when people talk about something over and over again, it gives you an idea that this is what they actually keep in their minds their most. This is what they think about most of the time. So you can tell what a person is thinking by what they say.
True.
I don't need you to tell me your thoughts. I can read what you are saying and it will tell me what you are thinking. Now, your words then become actions. Because more than half the time, what you end up doing is what you were actually saying.
Yes.
And your actions become what? Your habits. And if something becomes a habit, it means you will do that thing over and over again. It becomes something that is so much part of you. It becomes your second nature, so to speak it. Now, once it becomes your habit, it is becoming very easy for it to become a character attribute. Now, it begins to be something that defines who you are. Now, once it defines who you are, let me tell you something. It can define where you're going to end up. And that's how you get to destiny. You get to destiny from thoughts that become words, that become actions, that become habits, that will become character, and ultimately they get you to a destination. Now, what does that mean? It means if I want to get to a certain destination, I need to have thoughts that foster where I am going. So that when I speak where I'm going. When I act where I'm going. When I have habits, those habits are supporting where I'm going, and my character becomes where I am going.
Yes, sir.
Now, if your character becomes where you are going, it means if I want to be a millionaire, I'll give you an example.
Yes,
you will think like a millionaire. You will speak like a millionaire. You will begin to act like a millionaire. And people will say, this one is pompous. He thinks he's all that. Let me tell you something. Everyone that is successful today, at some point in their lives, people thought they were all that. They thought, when you think you are better than us, when you think you can make it in life far better than all of us, because you thought that way. So your actions were actions of a millionaire. You acted like a millionaire. You wanted to do deals of millions. You were looking for things that have to do with millions. And guess what? It became your habit. Even in your habits, when you wake up in the morning, you wake up like a millionaire.
Yes, sir.
You wake up, you've just had a dream of you flying in the private jet. Because you think like a millionaire, you will dream like a millionaire. And once it becomes your habit, it means even the way you act, you will act like a millionaire. You will do things like a millionaire. And people will begin to say, this person, he thinks he's clever than us. He thinks he's better than us. And guess what? It ends up becoming what you call a character trait. Once it becomes a character trait, now it's so embedded in you that it's no longer just actions. It's no longer just a habit. It becomes your first nature. It becomes part of who you are. Once it becomes part of who you are, let me tell you something. Even people that do not know you can pick it up.
Wow.
People will look at you and think you have money, even when you don't have money. Why? Because you act that way. You behave that. And I'm not talking about going to buy clothes and looking like a millionaire because you dress like a millionaire. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about buying an expensive car so that people think that you have money. I am talking about your mental disposition, the way your mind thinks. Sometimes you can even dress as simple as possible and people will still think, this one looks like he's got money. This one looks like he's got money. Because even the way you act, the way you talk, the way you behave, there are certain things about you that even people that don't know you can see this thing about you. Now, guess what that does? As soon as even strangers can see this thing in you, you begin to attract resources that will take you to millionaire status.
Wow.
You begin to attract people. You begin to attract resources. You begin to attract certain things. You attract things that even people, they will say, no man, you know what? I need funding with something like this. And people will say, no, go and speak to Mr. Mohapi. Mr. Mohapi does not even have 10 million. And then this person is coming and say, I'm looking for funding. Can you help me? Why? Because you think that way. You talk that way. You dream that way. You act that way. It's in your character attributes that you are like that. Even people outside are beginning to see it. Now, let me say something. You need to become what you want to become mentally before you see it in reality. If you cannot become what you want to see in your mind, it becomes a problem because you are never going to attain that thing in real life. You need to first have it happening, see it in the reality of your thoughts before you can materialize that thing. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about is to say, yes, it's well and good for us to say, yeah, believe in yourself, do this, do that. What are the things you need to avoid for you to make sure that you continue growing? So it is the things I promised that I was going to talk about, the growth limiters. What is it that you need to avoid? Now, social learning is one of them. Point number one. social learning.
Social learning.
Social learning is one of the most difficult things that human beings have to deal with. Let me show you an example. You can have a great-grandfather, a great-grandmother. Every time when she bakes cookies, maybe she puts raisins in the cookies. Every time. And the daughter of that great-grandmother, which is your grandmother, also learned the same thing.
Yes.
And then you find that the mother also learns from the grandmother. And the child learns from the mother. And then you go to the child and you ask, why are you putting raisins in the cookies? And the child will say, we've always been doing it like that. She doesn't know the reason.
Yes.
But because she was taught that way, she's doing it that way.
Yes.
You go to the mother doesn't know. You go to the grandmother doesn't know. And by God's grace, if the great-grandmother is still alive, you might find that the great-grandmother will say, no, I used to do that because your great-grandfather never used to actually eat cookies unless they have raisins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, was there really a need for the rest of them to put raisins? No. But because it's a social learning, what did they do? They put raisins in there without thinking, without even asking, why are we putting raisins in here? They put raisins in there. Now, you realize that social learning, there are certain things that you learn in life that you think are supposed to be the way they are, but you have not even questioned why.
Yes.
And tradition is one of those things.
Yes.
There are so many things about tradition that if you were to question them, even Lebacholo, they will tell you, hey, you are not supposed to ask me. But I want to know why, so that I have an understanding, so that if my kids can ask me why, I can explain. Social learning is very dangerous because sometimes it can limit your growth as a person, because it can limit you. One of those things you will see, it's a culture of that is learned by people. They call it FOMO, the fear of missing out. People have so much FOMO in the world today that I will go to a restaurant because everyone is posting about it. I don't even know how good that restaurant is. But because everyone is posting about it, guess what? I'm going to go. How many people go to events simply because they don't want to miss out?
Yo.
A lot. They even go into debt because they don't want to miss that event.
You see what I'm trying to say? Now, ask yourself a question. Was there a need for you to do that? No. Why did you do it? No, because everyone is doing it, therefore I have to do it.
Or
Now, it's a
because you want
problem.
to be relevant.
Exactly.
Because if you don't go there, people would think, oh, you are boring to our society. We don't want people like you in our group.
You want to be part of the conversation when they're talking, we want to ban a boy, and this is what was happening, and Luana, you feel like you want to
Yeah,
contribute.
you can easily say, he was so up close to me.
Exactly.
I saw him right here.
So one of the other things, which is the second point, is the issue around fear of being excluded, which is what she has already alluded to. Fear of being excluded. People are so afraid of being excluded into things. Everyone wants to buy an expensive car because you want to be seen in that club of people who are making it. Everyone wants to do something that everyone else. If rich people are doing something, you want to be seen doing it. Why are you doing it? You don't even know. Are you even enjoying the thing you are doing? Maybe even not. But you are just doing it because you don't want to be excluded. Now that is a growth limiter, because you are going to waste time trying to go out of your way to be part of the social circles and miss the opportunity of knowing you and understanding you and knowing how to do things that grow you. But you are doing things that are making everyone else happy while you are not growing. Taking control of your environment. What it means is that you unlearn fear and doubt. Taking control of your environment is very, very important. Let me say, for an example, maybe here in Kuruman, for an example, there might be a fear of opening up, because I know there's not a cinema here. You know, maybe because people are saying, if I open a cinema in Kuruman, people are not going to like it because people in Kuruman like 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2, 3. So that fear, for you to be able to break ground and create new things that other people have not done, you have to unlearn fear. You have to unlearn fear so that even in your thinking, your ability, you think beyond what has limited other people before.
Very important.
Now, to unlearn fear, it's very important, because a lot of people are incapable of. You will find if a person opens up an entity that has to do with food, everyone does food.
Yeah.
If you open an entity that has to do with entertainment, everyone opens entertainment. And people are not going out there and starting new things. Everyone wants to do what they see other people do. It's limiting the amount of growth, because people are afraid to unlearn fear. They are afraid to unlearn doubt. They just they want to be comfortable. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. Now, this is critical. The next point I want to talk about is change the things you can change and leave the things you cannot change. People are going through depression today. They are going to stress and strain and all sorts of things because they are trying so hard to change things that they cannot change.
True. That's true.
There are things in life that require you to have what we call acceptance, and you stop trying to change them and focus on the things you can change so that you can make a difference. Let me give an example. An English team of cycling. There was a period where for about 100 years, they were not winning medals. They were just literally losing. They were not winning any Olympics, nothing in cycling. They were doing so bad. Until in the early 200s, they changed and introduced a new manager.
Yes.
When this manager came in, what he did was to say, I'm going to look at cycling and look at a few things that are happening. And I'm going to look at the critical areas and change them by 1%. The ones I can change, I'm going to change each of them by 1%. Let me tell you something. After that guy changed all of those things for 1%, you know what happened? That team started winning medals. In that season, even today, it's still marked as the greatest season of cycling of all time. Wow. There is no other national team that has ever managed to beat that record, even today. What did they do? They only shifted 1%. Now imagine if you were to change 1% of the things you can control in your life, how much difference that will bring into your life. Because people always think, if I talk change, I'm talking 50, 20%. You must change a lot of things. No, sometimes it requires you to just change a little bit.
Bit by bit.
Change a little bit. Change a little bit. And as you tweak, you start seeing big differences. So never be afraid of changing things in your life. Change does not have to be huge. As little as it is, if it is consistent, it can create very, very fruitful, what you call it, beneficial results. Now, the last one I want to touch on, in fact, the second last one, is focus and develop interest in certain things.
Okay.
Let me explain what I mean by this. If I buy today a polo, I might have not have an idea how many people have polos in Kuruman. The day I buy a polo, it will feel like half of Kuruman has a polo.
Yes. Because you see, second car you see is a polo.
Exactly. Now, if you were to buy something, you will realize after you bought it that more people have it. And they've always had it.
Yes.
It's just that because you were not focusing on it, you didn't notice it.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? Yes. Now, what am I trying to say by that? What I'm trying to say by that is that there is a lot of things that are happening around you that are good, that you are not aware of. But because you are not paying attention to those things, you think nothing good is happening to you.
Yeah, true.
But the day you take time and say, I want to introspect, take my time and look at my life and appreciate what, you will realize that so much has happened in your life and you've got so much to be grateful for. And that will encourage you to say, I need to keep growing because things are happening.
Definitely.
But because the thing that you want change has not changed, you think change is not happening. And sometimes the thing that you want changing is the thing that you cannot change. And because it's not changing, you feel like your life is not going anywhere. Allow yourself the necessary levels of focus for you to look into yourself and be able to determine that I am growing. I am. Because if you fail to do that, you are going to lose interest in trying to grow. The last one I want to touch on, which is my personal favorite, is lack of networks.
Lack of networks.
This is one of the greatest limiters of growth. People are not building networks today. They are building friendships, but they are not building networks. What is a network? A network is like a web. You know a spider web? Have you seen a spider web? It's like a web. Those lines are the lines that connect you to different people. People that have different skills, people that have different technical abilities, people that have different aspects of what you would call personal growth. Now, you choose networks for 3 reasons. The first reason is because, you remember what I said to you last time, is that you need to develop a new skill every time. You need to always make sure you develop new skills in your life. Now, you will need a network that will enhance that ability for you. So you need to find people that have skills that you desire, but you do not have them. Secondly, you develop networks so that you can grow technically. There are people who are in their careers. For them to grow in their careers, they need to connect with others that know better than them. Whether close or far, it does not matter. But connect to someone who can teach you things you do not know. You need that network for you to develop technically. If you are in business, develop networks with people who are in business, who are ahead of you, doing better than you, understand concepts and principles better than you. The last one, personal growth. I've always mentioned this. Do not just have friends for the sake of having friends. Have people around you because they have things about them personally. There's certain personal attributes they have that if you were to adopt them, you would also grow. This is important because then even when you are spending what we call leisure time, you are spending leisure time while you are growing. As opposed to just sitting there and spending the whole day laughing and doing this and eating and doing, and you are not even growing. Now it becomes important. These are the 6 growth limiters that I want to highlight to you today to say, focus on these things and be aware that you do not allow these things to limit your ability to grow to levels where you are able to achieve the necessary levels of growth. Make sure that you make your network count. Make sure you develop networks. Make sure you maintain those networks. Make sure that you connect to people that can allow you accesses, that can allow you information, that can allow you resources that will help you become a better person.
Yes, sir.
Grow yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mahapi. I'm motivated.
Surround yourself with people that add value in your life.
Thank you.
know?
Mr. Mahapi, re lebogile re tlhoka para mo bekeng e tlang.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Happy.
Thank you.
Mara kunya sa Pillar